We end our program with a special look at an upcoming film about one of the most well-known modern saints, priest and martyr, Maximilian Kolbe. But this movie begins where other retellings usually end. The Nazis arrested the Polish Franciscan in 1941, sending him to the notorious concentration camp at Auschwitz. Months after his arrival, 10 men were sent to starvation chamber. And when one of the prisoners begged to be spared for the sake of his family, Kolbe courageously took his place. Triumph of the Heart begins with that sacrifice and shows how Kolbe's faith and compassion led him and his fellow prisoners to encounter hope and companionship in the face of unimaginable suffering. Anthony D'Ambrosio, the writer and director of The Triumph of the Heart, felt inspired to make this film after Kolbe guided him through his own suffering. He recently sat down with me to share his story and how he hopes Kolbe's final days can help others find hope. I read that you were inspired to write this at a really dark and difficult time in your life. How did St. Maximilian Kolbe break through to you, and do you mind sharing more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am somebody that struggled with a chronic illness, and that illness materialized sort of at the point in most people's lives when they're about to sort of enter into kind of the zenith of health and to sort of move forward into their vocation. And for me, I moved from that place of hopefulness and sort of vivaciousness into being struck down and really having kind of the dreams of who I was going to be in my life really torn away from me. And in the midst of that time, I really was grieving and I lost my faith. But it was kind of a discovery of Maximilian Kolbe and certain details of his story, specifically the detail that I had known that he had saved the life of another man, that he had volunteered to go into this starvation bunker, but I didn't realize that he ended up leading all of these other men around him in songs and in prayers, and ultimately that he wasn't executed alone, but that he was executed with and beside 4 other men who also stayed alive with him for 14 days without food or water. And it felt to me like absolutely a miracle that Kolbe could bring people from where perhaps I was to a place of being able to sing songs and praise God even in the midst of that grief and that darkness. And if he could do that, then perhaps he could help me to learn how to suffer well. And I think that Kolbe's story about a man who is willing to not just trade his life with another man to sort of save him, but also to descend into the suffering of these other men, to pastor them, to bring them to the Lord, to give meaning to their suffering and bring a balm of love to their hearts. That is a story of heroism and of credibility that shows a witness of faith that I think all of us need in our lives to give us hope and also to give us somebody to follow.
Triumph of the Heart will premiere in more than 400 theaters nationwide next week on September 12th. Learn more about this film and how to find a screening near you at triumphoftheheart.com.